We had these innovative, creative minds come together, and each were given a concept or an aspect of the Sustainable Development Goals, and they had to come up with ideas that could potentially resolve some of the issues that are affecting society and the environment as a whole.
I believe there are 4 breakaways, and the idea is to try and delve into addressing those catalytic solutions, challenges, and see if there is a business behind it and how could a business come about. So it will be a discussion session along those 4 verticals, and then to try and see if we can come up with a plan.
My role today was really to facilitate one of the groups focusing on specific SDGs. Within our group, we decided to take one step back. Sometimes taking one step back does actually allow you to take a few, leaps much further. So instead of starting with an idea, we started with the problems. So we brainstormed on different problems around that cluster of SDGs. That led us to then say, okay, if these are the different problems that we're identifying, which one is the most pressing? So we focused on one particular problem, and then we unpacked it, and the 2 different teams came up with different components or different aspects of tackling such a situation. What each one of you are going to be contributing towards is more, what ideas do you have? We're going to brainstorm on those. We're going to, as a team, decide which ones are going to be prioritized and shared with the broader group, and then we're going to go through the very steps that Dr. Mambola was sharing with us, as well as the video through Dr. Lehwek. Okay. There are 2 sheets like this, which is basically this particular template. What we're going to be doing, we're going to brainstorm on ideas. There are sticky notes on each table. Randomly let us know what your idea is per table. So we'll have probably 2. I think the 2 we can join either one. 2 tables, brainstorm on ideas, sticky notes. We're going to be very agile about things, just to give us time to really allow things to simmer, given the time constraints. Now, within this team, there are 4 different opportunities that we could be looking at. So it could be gender equity, reduced inequalities, and so forth and so forth. So you'll basically, within the team, you'll say, this particular idea addresses this particular SDG, right? So let's say, for example, idea X addresses gender equity. Now, in addressing that particular SDG, what technology tools will be used? Is it AI? Is it biotechnology? Is it VR? Is it, what is it? And this is, if there's anything else that you do not see on the template, just note it on the side, all right? Thereafter, we walked earlier on regarding the 6 Ds. There's this particular idea that would have put the sticky pad and sticky note on top. Is it digitized? Is it still deceptive? Are people still iffy about it, basically? Is it disruptive? Is it an in-your-face disruption? Does it demonetize? Does it dematerialize? By dematerialize, we're basically saying, how virtual can it be? How far away from brick and mortar and physical is this particular innovation, right, or idea? And to what extent can it be, or is it democratized, right? Meaning access. Basically, we're talking about how many people do you envision this particular idea being accessible to? And the last one is basically a checklist based on what we've been discussing earlier on and the case studies that we're going through. So to say, this idea X, does it create social change? Yes, no. Does it meet unserved needs? And you don't have to have an idea meeting all of those. For instance, on the far right, we're saying, is it ignored or disparaged? For instance, the video we watched earlier on about the healthcare in the townships. People will look down upon the quality of healthcare, even if it's wrong presumptions, okay? And it needs not to be looked down upon, And in most cases, case studies have shown us that most catalytic innovations are initially really looked down and just people say, by class, you know. And sometimes that is your entry point. And the idea is to say, sometimes you think you have a great idea, but it just won't fly. And that's because there hasn't been enough case studies to prove to us that those ideas that seem so not so cool, that won't probably fly, will actually, you know, they do pass the test, right? You're gonna ask something.
I was gonna say, I don't have an idea, but I have a problem.
That needs to be
is
addressed.
gender equity, for which I want an idea, basically. That's what I was gonna say.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was also going to
Personally-
say the same thing. Like I almost want to say that most people probably join because you have there's a question,
Okay.
like something
Then why
about the
don't we-
SDG
why don't
makes you
we-
uncomfortable.
Okay. Okay. Is that how the rest of the team feels?
Yeah, so personally I quite like that. I'd be very open to
Starting
give
with
us
the project?
give us something to work with because it feels a little bit broad now. And I think with inspirational talks and less of a brief, we might have some success in unblocking our thinking by someone giving us a bit of a problem to work with.
Yeah, I think maybe a good way to start then is to just for everyone to share one problem.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's use our sticky notes so that everybody has a problem. The more problems, with every problem, with every situation, is an opportunity for an idea, for a solution.
We all get so lost in the grind of what we're all doing, and I think we lose sight of the bigger picture, and we don't make enough time to connect and to talk about these issues and even just to inspire each other, share with each other. So absolutely, I think it's necessary.
I'm just going to quickly go through some of the targets around the particular SDGs that might also help with that. End all forms of discrimination against all women and girls everywhere. Eliminate forms of violence. Recognize and value unpaid care and domestic work. I'm just touching on them very briefly, not in full. Ensure women's full and effective participation and equal opportunities for leadership at all levels of decision making. Ensure universal access to sexual and reproductive health and reproductive rights. Undertake reforms to give women equal rights to economic resources. Enhance the use of enabling technology. Adopt and strengthen sound policies and enforceable legislation. So does that sort of guide within the gender space? I'm going to just touch on the other one just so you can decide as a team. The next SDG, for instance, adopt policies, especially fiscal, wage, and social protection policies. Facilitate orderly, safe, regular, and responsible migration and mobility of people. So this is your policy influencing. And then with SDG 12, we have, for instance, sustainably reduce waste generation through prevention, reduction, recycling, and reuse. Okay? So some of what we will come up with here is in a way related to other clusters. Okay, so we're in 4 different groups, all with different types of SDGs to focus on. So it might also touch a little bit with climate, with the economic side. For instance, support developing countries to strengthen their scientific and technological capacity to move forward, develop and implement tools to monitor sustainable development impact, for sustainable tourism that creates jobs and promotes local culture and products. I'm hoping those will trigger something there. Okay. Are we good with our problems? And then what we're going to do, I'm going to start. Go this way. Yeah, go ahead this way. And I'm gonna start this
Putting
way.
you on the
Everybody
spot.
should be ready.
I'm not ready.
So you are gonna facilitate. I'm not gonna read yours because I want this to be interactive. So you're gonna get this team to tell us their problems. So you're my
I'm totally facilitating.
so up. Let's get this team with their problems.
Okay, cool. So the first problem is ensuring equal pay for women in industry and corporate. Someone's handwriting here. Third problem is
Safe spaces.
safe spaces, mobility, which is affected by pay, high levels of pollution in cities, high levels of school dropouts among girls. That's quite a hundred problem. Fewer female role models in certain corporate spaces to lead male-centric. The definition of success is largely defined by the male figure, so how do we change that?
So we agreed they were going to. Thank you so much,
Oh, thanks.
Michael. We agreed that we're going to look at the problems and choose one that we're going to tackle using that particular model, right? You want to quickly just go through yours very quickly?
Okay, so the problems I got were one, diverse representation in the workplace across different levels, how to manage the opportunity costs of having a family while also having a job on which I'm very dependent, women viewed as the weaker sex in the workplace, not fair play or fair pay, and a lack of purpose in people and developing individuals, and the lack of free speech, not being able to discuss differing opinions about contentious issues, and a lack of accommodation for low income or low skill employees closer to work.
Thank you. I'm going to ask that we knock it to 2. Which ones do you guys feel strongly about?
1-1. 2 anyway.
Anyway, any two.
It doesn't matter.
An important filter as well is to think about things in a commercial way. So I think the theme of the discussion also was around these are viable solutions. They're sustainable commercial solutions that are addressing a social need. So it's almost as if the commercial mechanism is a way to address that need. And I think that might help us narrow down a few of the problems, because some of them are easier to align to a commercial solution than others, where it's around, I guess, a cultural, almost a systemic change, which is more around advocacy and that sort of thing.
I was facilitating a workshop on education, good work, and also challenging innovation in industry infrastructure. Initially, we gave the guys a chance to just come up with ideas in 3 groups, whereby they can just come from a process of diverging, putting a million ideas out there, and go through the whole ideation process from an imagination to something that is tangible, that they can actually use and that can actually help society.
We've got one idea that tackles 2 problems.
Yeah.
One is access to opportunities for wealth creation and growth in your personal capacity. And 2, access to finance for small businesses. So we're looking at macroeconomic growth and how it can impact both the individual and the business. So wealth creation is about what do you get, what do you keep, and what do you grow. And the whole idea of collective investments is broken, right? Because, sorry to Ellen Ray, is that you have to put $500, get charged fees and a specific amount every single month. And sometimes you don't have that 500 or 250 to invest in. And stockpiles are also broken in their very nature, because stockpiles are designed only in some circumstances for procurement purposes, for Christmas, for end of the year type of situations. So is that how do you turn a stockpile into a collective investment, right? And make sure that each and every individual within the stockpile is able to contribute what they can not charge minimum fees or certain percentage in terms of investment management fees. And the opportunity to use that money to grow, right? Traditionally, we look at ways in which you can grow money is that you have to invest it, put it in a bank, or make sure that somebody manages your money and yourself. But there's so many small businesses who don't have access to capital. And small is the new big. We need to find those small individuals who can come as a collective in terms of contributing money and then potentially act as essentially a private investor or a PE firm specifically to a small business that they want to help. So you have stokvels for type away businesses, but why don't you have stokvels where we collect that money and essentially structure a type away business and that stokvel is a shareholder? The potential for growth within a small business is much larger than the growth that you will experience if you're investing in the JSE. Maybe you might get your 8% or 10% if you're lucky on the specific money. So how do you make this into a technology solution? One, blockchain, because it's a distributed ledger. So this whole room can be a stock fund. We don't essentially have to know what each and every one of us contribute, but we are a stock fund together within the blockchain ledgers. And how do we collect that money? Is that there's different ways that we can come up with it. Well, you can decide that I want to pitch in 100 Rand, or there's a lot of technology that is out there already in terms of bank account analysis, what is safe to spend, what is safe to analyze. So you can connect with an app like 22/7 that actually tells you that this month 50 Rand should be safe because at the end of the month you know that your budget for rent is X amount, we know what your fees will be, so that money is specifically invested in this platform. And then as a collective stokvel money, essentially, it's a collective investment, we then provide an opportunity to say, here are certain businesses that have been identified that have potential for growth. And does this stokvel want to participate, or does this collective investment want to participate? So essentially, we want to democratize access to opportunities for wealth creation, especially if you don't have enough capital to start your own business or participate in the JSE or stock market.
I think they're brilliant intellectuals. I think the most important part about them is they're open. Some of them did not know each other, and they got to engage as if they knew each other, and which is a very brilliant skill that we require as a country at the moment, where we're struggling with engagement and dialogue. And there was also a diversity in terms of race and all the geographic dynamics, and still they were able to come to one conclusion and agree with each other, which I think they are brilliant fellows that I think they can actually bring up something big for the country.
I mean, the catalytic model is basically a model which says if you are able to come up with products that are not expensive, but that are good enough, right, that are accessible to the people. So if you're running a clinic, you know, are you accessible? Are you where the people are, right? Or do people have to drive to where you are? Are you charging your services at affordable rates, right, where people can afford to pay for your services, right?
I think it was very insightful, and I think for me, what I always enjoy about these events is actually meeting people who are actually who have started the journey, who have actually started doing something. So I think the speakers that you have today were very incredible because they were solving problems that are actual real to South Africa.
For me, one thing I noticed, I went into the discussion on health and well-being, and one thing I did notice is there were 2 women in the room, which was, it stood out for me because it's always nice when you see fellow women doing what you're passionate about. And so it was just a reminder that, women are still not as included as I would like them to be in all the spaces, or maybe all the fields that I'm interested in. But at the same time, it was nice to have a space where I felt safe, with the fellows. Even though there were majority males in that category, I felt very safe because as fellows we've grown as a community, and so it was a really good a good experience to share ideas in such a space, even being a woman. I didn't feel like I was the woman in the room at that time. I just felt like a fellow engaging with my fellow. So I appreciate the type of space that was created.
I think the concept behind being a fellow is actually being provided with a platform where you provided with support so that you can actually be the type of entrepreneur that you want to be. So it's basically the support and the networks that it brings, because you meet a lot of people who are in different industries. So you get that exposure to diverse minds.
Look, I think for me, we are accessible, right? But I think, it's not about me. It's not about us who we're presenting and talking. It's really not about us. It's about their entrepreneurs, their delegates in the room. It's about them going out there, testing their ideas or innovations or solutions. It's really about that, right?
Today I came to learn, firstly, and most importantly, to facilitate a session where young people were giving innovative ideas, that will probably disrupt, introduce new concepts and ways to love the environment and preserve it even more. So we're talking from green sustainability all the way to living below water and above water on land.
Yeah.
I'm innovative.
I'm innovative.
I'm creative.
I'm creative.
I'm gifted.
I'm gifted.
I'm talented.
I'm talented.
I'm a solution.
I'm a solution.
The world is waiting for me.
The world is waiting for you.
The world is waiting for me.
The world is waiting for you.
Okay, guys, it's changing the world.
The world has me already.
Guys, heaven just said the world is waiting for him.
Guys, I'm bold.
I'm bold.
I'm vibrant.
I'm vibrant.
I am nurturing.
I am nurturing.
I care for the environment.
I care for the environment.
I need the environment.
I need the environment.
I will take care of the environment.
I will take care of the
Come on,
environment.
clap for yourselves.
I absolutely loved it. Always find the E-Squared seminars incredibly inspiring, which I think is objective number one. So I think they're really getting that right, which is what they want. And everything runs smoothly. Logistically, amazing facility, great food, and just the best part about it is to be in a room with some of South Africa's brightest young minds. So fantastic day.
Recording the session today that we had. How are you guys feeling? Have you pumped up, eh?
Some of us were late. So all I have is the food. All I remember from today so far.
Well, it means your brain is fresh, guys.
So you
right?
must have been
So we
saying
will utilize most of your brain cells because
sorry.
we've been here throughout the day, right?
Yeah.
So you will be where we go to just accelerate our levels of energy. Who would like to share one of the highlights from the previous lesson? Before I pick you up, can you volunteer? Just 2 people. What you picked up from the first session. Thank you, madam.
It was really, really great to see someone like Nthabi in the business she's built and where she went to build it. Because I think a lot of people just completely, well, at least when we create solutions, we try to create them in an environment that's easy and then say we'll scale them backwards to get them to the township. And she started there. And for me what was more important is that she walks through it and she sees the people, which is, it's really inspiring, and that's how I think everyone should approach trying to solve a solution. See the people that it's meant for. Don't first go and make it for the people who can easily get it. And then say, oh yeah, then I'll try and get these people to get it. So for her, she just reaffirmed a lot of the views I've always had about like impactful entrepreneurship.
Right? So from her session, from her comment, I've taken see the people, and what other words stood out? The impact. Did you hear that? See the people and the impact. Those words are going to start us off in our session, right? Who else wanted to share what they learned?
So for me, it was with Luvuyo's business idea. What I like about it is that it's actually all of it, but for Luvuyo, the innovation is not so as complex as I've always imagined it to be. So when I struggle to come up with ideas, I think the reason is because I get stuck in like the complexities of things. And with him, it's just like basically convenience for the people he's training. So I mean, to have an internet cafe where you can also train and it's certified and it's from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. That convenience, I mean, no one does that. And I think that's where the innovation lied with him, and that's what made it so great. So that is a big lesson.
So I just joined the association now. So I'm expecting to know more on what help is there for people like me who want to
to be impactful to the society, what resources do they have in terms of funding and in terms of actually giving support in growing businesses and such things. So I'm hoping to find information. That is the very first thing that I'm hoping for, and I'm hoping to actually see how that be useful to me. And of course meet other people, other fellows.
Using a gamifying app to track behavioral data around cities. So for waste management, for different uses.
Okay. Waste, making sure no more
So we're
toilets, eventually.
Toilets.
Schools. Infrastructure.
So any specific thing that a client could want. You could come as government and say, I need data on how people are using it. So one of the examples of the toilets was not only just taking pictures of broken public toilets in a place like Alex or whatever the case is, but also where people have just in informal or in rural areas where somebody has took a crap randomly in a felt. You take a picture of that and we track how often does that happen. If that's happening 2 times a day, every day, it means we need a toilet thing.
Yeah.
So that's the.
And the 60s, how many does it use?
Sustainable development. Digitize.
So as we are now, they've come up with ideas and they're about to present to us. And who knows, there might be an investor who might invest into an idea and a flourishing business, impacting society positively and creating more jobs.
On 3, when your head must pop up that side. When your head must be like that.
Like what? Oh, no, like
On the globe. On the globe. Guys, are we there? Are we doing this?
Okay, go, ready?
You just put your hand out there.
Running out of
Come on! 1, 2, 3, let's do this.
1, 2, 3, yeah! He is off. Okay, I know that was weird.